Word. Good morning. Welcome to Dreadful Discussions. I am one of your hosts, Joel Austin.
And I am your co-host, Caleb Jones. And today with us discussing his recent release, Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, we have Quay McLeod Chapman.
Hey
Thanks for joining us,
Hey,
guys,
Clay.
good morning, Clay.
thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Anytime. Uh,
So, this book has, especially in light of, I don't know, we'll say the last 6 or 7 months, a lot to talk about. A lot to talk about. Um, I actually read this uh, quite a few months ago, um, and sitting on it months later, in light of the world, the first question that I had was, how long ago did you write this?
oh wow. Um, it starts to blur at a certain point. So I might get like dates wrong, but it's 2025. I think I started in earnest, like developing it in 20, like December-ish, like November, December-ish of 2022.
Okay,
Um, and then the majority of 2023 writing it, kind of revising and editing into 2024. Uh, with it's funny because like the book had been originally slated for October 2024. And through circumstances at my publisher, they pushed it back to January of 2025. And I remember being like, guys, there's an election, November 2024. Do we want to be ahead of that conversation or do we want to be behind it? And
right.
uh, I thought that people would already be interested in moving on
Yeah,
and like looking ahead to the future in January of 2025. Um, so I just assumed the book would be kind of rendered moot by circumstances, and I was wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, I think I read it right after the inauguration and was just utterly floored because it had so many parallels to recent events and conversations that I'd had with, my own family.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Same here. Same here.
yeah, yeah. Like I I swear I'll be a good guest, but it's so funny how like at this point and it's kind of like everything is just like I'm in this weird kind of like resigned kind of shrug kind of zone,
Yep.
It's kind of
Yeah,
like,
Yep.
yeah, here we are.
Who
yeah.
would have seen this coming?
Yeah, that was kind of like my follow-up there. Like, uh, it sounds like you had written it post first term of a certain orange somebody, and like didn't expect us to be dealing with the entire shit show that we have on our hands now, and just like like in light of like it almost feels like a little prophetic in a way of like, oh no, we get to deal with this for God, please, only 4 more years, but uh,
Yeah.
we'll, we'll have to see if the country stops being crazy for a little bit, stops being possessed.
It's funny. And this is not a well-formed thought. I'm not making any declarative statements here. I'm honestly kind of like seeking out my kind of understanding of the world. Uh, in like the first go around in like 2020, was it 20? No, 2016. Uh, I things felt a lot more polarized in our thinking. Like there was definitely this kind of binary of like political parties, political affiliations, left versus right. Um, and then 2020 happened, but now I I I I I can hear my publisher kind of like talk like my publicist at the publisher, like, don't talk about politics. This is not about politics. It's about screens. Screens are bad. And like, like trying to like it's not even defanging it of its politics, but I I I'm beginning to wonder, and I've been wondering this for a long time. Uh, it's where we are as a culture, as a country, and it's gone beyond the kind of binary of like right versus left or Democrats against Republicans or however you want to kind of like posit like one side versus the other. I just think I think it's like a stew, like a homogenized kind of like just like everything is just bad, and it's because this baser nature within us all, regardless of like I think it's just like and in a weird way, I think the book is kind of getting at that like it starts off like like oh I'm a Republican or oh I'm a Democrat or oh I'm left or oh I'm right, but like it's all I think it's just all it's gone beyond those kind of that framework of 2016 2020. Like now it just feels like very much just like, oh, we're fucked.
Yeah,
Like everything
yeah,
is pretty bad and evil, the evil that is within us all, or the kind of the vulnerability of people in general. It's just like, I don't know, like it's just like gooey.
yeah,
Um, so this is where I'm at right now in my
yeah.
thinking, 6 months after the book, 7 months after the book came out. So
Sure.
Yeah.
hi. Hey guys.
We're just having a lighthearted little book club session here. World's fucked, and we don't know if we can get it back.
Well, it's funny
That's
you mentioned like you say the orange guy, and I'm just like, God, like wouldn't it be so great to like that even feels so far ago. Like
Yeah,
even in this current like where we are like in this current 4 year block. Like it like he's just such a like I don't even think it's just him. I think he's just like, you know,
he's a
doing his thing.
product of the
yeah,
culture of the whole machine moving toward what he represents, I guess.
Yeah. Our own demise,
yeah.
our own self-destruction.
I think, and I didn't give the heads up at the top, but we will definitely get into some spoiler territory on the book here, and starting now. Like the way that you kind of what you were just hinting at there, that the book kind of touches on it is like, you know, based off of where you get your news, it taps into this almost animalistic base nature and like the way that it embodies in like the characters and the citizenry and mass in the book is it almost feels like it too insane to happen. But if I turned on the news tomorrow and there was a giant like death orgy happening on the National Mall, like would I be that surprised? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Just
I'd be
it,
intrigued,
times are
but
just yeah, times are just too insane right now to really question anything.
Yeah. Um, I will confess to feeling a lot of despair at the moment. And the news, we're pretty plugged into the news. Like we subscribe to the newspaper and we keep abreast of things as events unfold. And it is, you know, I don't know. Like it's such a I'm what am I trying to even say here? Like it's just the 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 ability to kind of see the horrors of humanity kind of play out in real time and seeing people's rights being taken away and incarcerations and deportations and all this stuff that just on its surface feels very much just kind of like here we go. I don't know. Like fiction, horror fiction feels like such a respite to be honest. Like
Mm.
I would happily hop into a George Orwell book right now and feel like, oh, this feels so cozy.
Yeah.
Orwell's writing cozy horror as you know, as things progress in real time.
Yeah. I think after I had finished the book, I was discussing it with a friend, and I was just like, you know, there are books that take a subtle tact to approach to what's going on, and then there's punk rock,
Mhm.
and Wake Up and Open Your Eyes is like a very punk rock response to what's going on. It's entirely visceral. Um,
Yeah.
I I always like to jump on Goodreads, and I know a lot of authors like avoid their reviews, but I like to see what people think about things that I've already formed my opinion on. And
Yeah.
one of the first reviews that I came across was just like, "Be warned, this is extreme horror. If that's not your bag, you need to check your t triggers. Then like, be careful with this one." And I was like, "Yeah, kind of, but maybe like." People need to be bumped over the head a little bit right now and like wake up and open their eyes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because I have such a squeamish uh, constitution. I can't do extreme horror. I can't like
Right.
I like watching Last House on the Left once is totally good for me. Like I watched it once, I'm done. Like you know, like I just it is not something that I choose to partake in
Right.
personally. And wake up and I in writing Wake Up and Open Your Eyes, like there was no point of like, this is going to be extreme, guys. Like, watch out. Because there are people who do that and do it well and like
Right.
have like carved their kind of lane doing it. And so to me, like I don't view it personally as extreme horror
Sure.
in the kind of strictest
Yeah.
definition of it.
Yeah.
Um, but it always I do kind of giggle a bit and then kind of shrug when anybody kind of like criticizes this book for not being subtle. Because it's not a subtle book, but and it is on the nose. It is beating the dead horse.
Right.
It is doing all of these things in such a way that like subtlety was never going to be a part of the equation for
Right.
this book. And and I forgive me for the tangent, but like I think that like it I do go to Goodreads almost every day and I read these reviews and I'm just saying to myself, wow. Um and I always knew that this book would be kind of relatively polarizing just because but I never I find it interesting that like the criticism of it not being subtle or not being more nuanced like like I just don't
But
feel like we're living in nuanced, subtle times.
that
No.
that was
And
exactly like I had so many conversations around this book after first reading it, and I was just like, you can't really expect subtlety on this particular subject matter because there's nothing subtle about what's happening.
yeah,
We're being assaulted with just horrible news on the national scale every day. Like you can't really expect a writer that's passionate about it to be like, oh, there's some nuance to the
yeah,
evilness that's going on here. It's just
yeah,
evil.
Here's a
yeah.
flowery metaphor for fascism.
I mean, and that's what fiction does. I think it layers metaphor or fiction and writing in general, literature, offers nuance in a way that ultimately I think protects readers. And I I don't necessarily think this was a conscious decision on my part, of because I do think there are plenty of flowery metaphors throughout the book. They
Sure.
just so happen to be vulgar and violent. Um, but like I I think that for those people who come to a book, any work of fiction, and are like the nuance or the subtlety or the kind of like in more astute hands this book would be smarter or more elegant or eloquent. Like it in my head, the thing that I'm processing is like, oh, certain readers want to be protected. They want this added layer, this buffer of metaphor to distance themselves from whatever the horrors of the book are positing. And I do think that Wake Up and Open Your Eyes either peels away, strips out, like that buffer is not there, and it
Hmm.
is just a cudgel of story. Um, because when I tune into Fox News or when I look at certain media, that is the experience. There is no metaphor when news outlets are saying these are lizard people, these are, pedophiles, these are when you strip when there is no subtlety in the
Right.
the
Right.
world at large. Like for me, like in writing this, like there was never that moment of like, you know what, guys? I'm gonna take the horrors of the world that are not subtle and bludgeoning, and I'm gonna protect you, dear reader, with this little bit of
Yeah.
added padding, added fat to kind of like soften the blow.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's an admirable choice, and honestly, given the subject matter, like I don't think that any good writer worth his salt could have written it any other way, you know?
Right.
I mean, maybe. I don't know. Like, I mean, if Gore Vidal wanted to go for it, like I think like he would probably write a very astute, sharp, biting criticism of the world at large, and the readers would read it and just be like, "Yes." You know what? I think that's what it is. And this is me maybe being like slightly defensive. It's just like I think readers just want to kind of pat themselves on the back and be like, "Ah, yes." Like I read this book and I feel smarter and better about myself, and I'm distancing myself from the horrors of the world. And they aren't like I feel good. And I just don't think we're living in those times
Right.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's just like ah like this book is just like an existential dread wail sustained for 400 pages because that's just how I'm feeling.
Yeah.
So I want Gore to give it a shot. Give it, go for it, because he would write something so good. He would
Yeah.
he would write the shit out of this book, and people would feel so good about themselves.
Uh,
I like that because that seems to be kind of a theme with the protagonist Noah, his place in the world,
Mhm.
especially with his inner voice being Anderson Cooper.
Yeah.
I thought that was a delightful choice, but
Wait,
it's that syndrome of I want to feel smart, I want to feel good about
yeah.
myself and my opinions on things, and here's somebody that'll tell me that I'm doing it right.
Yeah. I'm relieved to hear that you say that because so many people loathe the second person Anderson Cooperness of it all. And that's just me. Like honestly, that's just like I'm the kind of like the hapless liberal Brooklyn dad who has no power or sense of control. Like if the apocalypse happens today, I'm fucked. I'm dead because I
yeah.
have no
It
nothing to prepare myself or defend myself. My
it
family is fucked because I can't pick up a fire poker and like bludgeon zombies all day.
Yeah, the back half with the back third or however long the Anderson Cooper narrative was going on really reminded me of in DeWillow's White Noise when the shit really starts hitting the fan in that book, and the family is I don't remember character names, but the family is all in their like station wagon or whatever.
Yeah.
And they see like a truck pull off the road, and they're just like, "Oh, we got to follow that guy because it's probably some redneck that actually knows how to survive in this situation."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
I was just
Oh,
like, "Yep, yep, I
God.
feel that. I see it." Uh,
Yeah.
I am definitely the left college liberal arts major guy that's just completely fucked at that situation.
Oh my God. If Dom DeLillo wrote this book, it would be so good. It would be so smart and so astute. I want to be DeLillo. I worship, I bow down to DeLillo like that. I
Oh,
mean,
it definitely you should take it as a compliment. There's definitely some DeWillow in this. It might be a little more aggressive than what DeWillow might have written,
yeah.
but there's definitely hints of it.
I mean, I grew up I mean like I mean here's the thing like when you start kind of positing like this is who I am. I was a certain reader of a certain generation of a certain age who just so happened to be in his liberal arts college reading like like oh I'm picking up white noise like oh I'm picking up underworld like that would like you know that was me and
Yeah.
like here's this kind of I I can't say it's a furthering of DeLillo's isms. Uh, Maybe it's a regression of them, but I think like culture is
Well, yeah,
regressing.
culture has regressed,
Right.
so it's only natural that the art would follow suit and like,
Mhm.
you know, it's, meet it on its own, meet the culture on its terms, you know?
Yeah, which he would probably hate. He would just despise. He would just be like, "Oh God, like they're murdering my themes, man."
This book had um, an appendix, I guess, a reference page, and I'm not
Yeah,
used to reading horror books that have such an extensive list of really wonderful books. Like I saw Naomi Klein in there, and
yeah,
she's one of my favorites.
yeah,
You did a lot of research for this one, it looks like.
yeah. I mean, anytime I'm writing a book, I want to live in a world where I'm imbibing like books of that world. Like I call it research, but even just like just kind of like what is the family tree of this book? Um, a lot of for Wake Up was definitely wanting to kind of do the due diligence of reading books that felt of the kind of informed the world that we were in within the novel. But those are just books that I love to read anyways. And I do feel like when you're writing something, it's just great to uh exist. Like what are the novels that kind of explore similar themes and what are you just want to I don't know like I feel as if I've heard oodles of other authors kind of say, I don't want to like be influenced by other books or other writers that are in this universe. And for me, I'm like, well, I don't know, like I love like I'm not gonna um deny those things. Like I just
Yeah.
want to imbibe. I don't want
Right.
the plausible deniability of like, well, maybe someone else did it before, but I like no 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 no, like I wanna eat that stuff up. And so any demonic possession book, any pandemic book, any social critique, like yeah, like some of it is research and but a lot of it is just like what what's out there? Who's done this? Like what's the kinship, the kind of cousins of this book that I want to visit at Thanksgiving.
I
Yeah, I
think
love that. I love the image of the book's family tree. I really like that. I've not heard it put that way before.
Yeah.
I think that's one of like the true delights of literature is just seeing what books are in conversation
Mhm.
with other books. Let's
Yeah.
say like knee-jerk reaction, wake up and open your eyes is in conversation with what three books come to mind immediately.
Um, oh man, it's been a while. It's weird, and I don't think I would say this on any other day, but the first book that came to my mind was Cell by Stephen King.
Mhm.
Um, and
That tracks. Sure.
I mean, I mean, he did it. Like he had his kind of pandemic. zombie, and I had not read it before uh writing this book. Like like I kind of like was like, oh, this feels like people were kind of like not as enthused about that book.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I might have seen the movie before I read the book.
Actually enough to
Um,
have a copy of it right here.
there you go. Um, I yeah, never read it until this, and I was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. I get it. There is this one book, one of the nonfiction books. I'm gonna be awful and blank on every proper title and name of the author, but uh, it was like my sister is a getting my sister back, or in the name of the sister, or my sister is a jihadist. And it's a nonfiction book that speaks specifically to uh, this one young woman who was indoctrinated uh, through social media. She lived in the suburbs in the
Mhm.
Midwest, and like
Mm.
was like she succumbed to this form of terrorism by way of social media and
Yeah.
Facebook. And I just found that infinitely fascinating. Because the basic premise really began with this idea of like demonic possession as a form of indoctrination, as
Mm.
like that one could go from like a affluent suburban picture perfect existence to then you know like fly to Afghanistan and join a terrorist cell. And it was just
Mhm.
like, what if that was a demon? Like,
Yeah.
what if, and just kind of like riffing off that. So that book, which name I just totally murdered. Uh, and I mean, like, even The Exorcist was, such a kind of template, but just like multiply that by a million, 8 billion,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
what's the, and and just crank the volume up.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a cheat, though. Exorcist is
I,
such a cheat.
yeah. I mean, there's certain influences that all of us horror writers are never going to be able to escape on some level, and The Exorcist is always going to be
Mhm.
lurking over most of what we write, and rightfully so. It deserves
Yeah.
to be right over our shoulders always.
Yeah. I mean, it carved out that whole genre of, seeing the Catholic priests, over the feminine body, and like it's just I don't know, like it's just fun to kind of like, okay, well, what is that now? Like what that was 50 some years ago, and
Mhm.
like what is that today? Like what is it now? And in my mind, I kind of shift to the film way too quickly, but like I always think of that awful traumatic scene of like, Reagan's mom kind of walking into the room and seeing Reagan uh vulgarizing her body, like attacking her body, and how like traumatizing that was as a kid to watch that, and like as a country to watch that. And that was
Mhm.
50 fucking years ago.
Right.
Yeah.
and and it's like, where are we now? Who are we now? And it's
Mhm.
like, you know, you take that scene of violation, self-mutilation, and then you just say, "Oh, we're Evil Dead. We're like, we're just gonna turn the volume up to 11,
Yeah.
whether we want to or not."
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we just keep circling back to this, but it seems like society is in a place right now where we really don't have a choice to kind of hit the mute button. Like we're coming to like the like nut up or shut up moment where we're just gonna have
Mhm.
to like actually push back against the bullshit that's happening.
Yeah.
And like Wake Up kind of alludes to, it's a multifaceted thing, from the news channel to the multi-level marketing that Devin wound up in,
Yeah.
to the social media and screens that took the other two Fairchild boys.
Yeah.
Um, that
Yeah.
baby ghost still stuck in my head today.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean like I started with Devon and that idea of wellness being the
Mhm.
kind of aperture. And because like Fox News is such a low hanging fruit. Like that was clearly gonna like that's the most obvious choice. So that felt
Mhm.
like, okay, well that'll be our entry point. And then let's kind of expand and kind of look at all these other permutations of possession and wellness, Twitter, YouTube algorithms, baby ghost. Like it's just like that's you see it happening every day and it's just like it's not going away and I feel like it if you get past the finger pointing of like well it's your fault well no it's your fault and then you just realize like oh it's all kind of just happening and like we're at that photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy place where it's just like
Mhm.
it's just kind of all the parameters and constrictions and framings like those are gone and now it's just like everything is just like like everyone's just like you know
Yeah. Yeah.
that's my astute subtle nuanced
I love it. It was
Summed
perfect.
up in one word.
Delillo.
Well, I think that was all the questions that I had.
Yeah.
Um,
See that we're running low on
yeah,
time
we're
here.
getting a little low there.
But yeah, Quay, do you have anything coming up that you'd like to plug or you like to
Yeah,
shout out?
sure. I have a short story collection coming out in September, which is called Acquired Taste. And that's with Titan Books. And then I have a YA novel coming out in November called Shiny Happy People, and that'll be with Delacorte. Yeah, so if you're looking for something to read, like there's some stories and some new books coming out, and I don't know. Thank you for wanting to talk about this book. Like
Yeah.
I never I just don't know how it is in the world. How I don't know how the world is, and I don't know how this book is out there in the world. So it means a lot to me that you would want to chat about it. So thank you.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you. I'm really glad we got to. This is still one of my favorite books that I've read this year, and it was one of the first books that I read of the year. So,
So just don't read any more books this
yeah,
year.
yeah,
Just take
call
it
it
off.
good.
Take a break. You know, just write that best of list, and we'll just call it a year.
That's
See you in
right.
2026.
Awesome. Well, thank you for
Oh, cool.
joining us, Clay.
Thank you so much, Clay.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your election year, and
Oh, yeah.
hope hope you're safe out there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you too.
All right, and thank you for joining us, everyone. We will be back next month. And Joel, why don't you tell them what we'll be reading?
We will be reading Dead Rabbit by Joseph Mullane Pullinger. Um, Very fun, dark book. So excited to talk to Joey.
Awesome.
All
Bye,
right.
everybody.
Thank you guys. See you later.